Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about a word that comes up in Buddhism and in Zen that I think is important to manifest in our Zen practice. This word is Bodhisattva. Every time we begin an evening of practice or a day of practice, we chant the Heart Sutra. And in the Heart Sutra, we talk about Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. The word Bodhi, just like the word Buddha, comes from the root Bud, to awaken, to be awake. Sattva means being. But it's a bit more than just a being. There is an intensity, there is an intention in this word, sattva. Red Pine, who's a translator, he lives just south of here in Washington State. And he often talks about this word, points out the importance of this word in the context of our practice. Because each of us, as we come here to engage in this practice, should place in our heart the will, the intention to manifest our bodhisattva nature. What is that? Well, first of all, this word bodhisattva in classical literature is often paired with another term, mahasattva. Again, we have sattva, being, but maha means great, a great being, a wisdom being, or awakening being, a great being. This mahasattva, this word mahasattva, before Buddhism, before the time of the Buddha, the word mahasattva, great being, referred to an animal, the lion. So when we pair it together with referring to a human being, mahasattva, we have to understand that it means to embody this great being's heart, the heart of the lion. One of the descriptions of this posture for seated meditation is the lion's posture. You've got to have that sort of, lion's chest when you sit. The strength, the courage to sit. Each of us, I think, when we come to practice, begin with a very sort of self-serving attitude. We come to practice because maybe in today's day and age we're stressed, or we feel like our heads are too busy, or we're unfocused, or we have difficulty sleeping. And all of these approaches to practice are just the leaves and buds and branches of what in Buddhism is called dukkha. Sort of a fundamental dissatisfaction. And that dissatisfaction manifests in a million different ways. It can be pining for the right partner romantically, or it can be not knowing what to do to study in school, or what to do with your life in a job, or what to do about your weight, or what to do about your diet, or what to do about so on and so on and so on and so on. Each manifestation or each little tip of difficulty, tip of suffering, tip of discomfort and dissatisfaction is a gateway into the Dharma, a gateway into this practice. It's a gateway to awakening, to wisdom. In today's culture and climate, meditation is sold as a great analgesic for all of these problems. Feeling stressed, you should meditate. Feeling unfocused, you should meditate. Having trouble with your health or your weight or your job or your girlfriend, you should meditate. And I think because of the way that meditation is presented in our culture, this is the way we tend to approach it. It's like Tylenol, Zenlenol. We have a problem, and so we say, oh, there's that thing over at the university. It's just an evening, we can go sit. And people come and they sit. And judging by what people say when we go around the tea circle, it's a great analgesic. And for most people, eventually, they start to be able to sleep again. Or their minds begin to calm down a little bit. Or, they have a really great date. Or they get a job. And that temporary discomfort dissolves temporarily. But I think most of the people in this room I've seen come and I've seen you go. And I've seen you come and I've seen you go. Because one of the things that we can all say in this life, one of the very fundamental principles of Buddhism, is that all things in this vast cosmos are impermanent. So those romances, they hit rough spots, even wonderful long-term romances. Life gets stressful again. Jobs change and places that you live change, and we find ourselves going, oh, what am I going to do about this again? And oh, right, there's that thing over at the university. I can go and do that. And that's okay. Sort of meditation it's okay. But the metaphor that always comes to mind for me is that you're using a surgical scalpel to butter your toast. Our endeavor here in Zen practice is not just to alleviate the superficial discomfort that we're experiencing all the time. It's not to make you feel better about having to buy last year's model of Mercedes instead of next year's model of Mercedes. That's not what we're here for. This practice has existed since the time of the Buddha to offer us an opportunity to awaken to our nature, our deep nature, which is beyond all of these subjective, temporary disturbances, attractions, desires. It offers us the opportunity to see that these little difficulties that pop up, relationships and livelihood and illness and old age and all of these things that pop up, they're not unrelated. They're not separate. Each of these things arises from a single source. And this practice allows us the opportunity to plunge into that deeply. To awaken, to realize some clarity about this fundamental fixation, attachment, desire, craving that leads to all of these difficulties. It's not about just taking a painkiller whenever the tumor gets so big that we just can't take it anymore. It's about completely removing that tumor, cutting it off, so that we're able to live in what Muman says is a merry and playful samadhi, or a merry and playful existence. We can enjoy life. Not just once in a while when things are going well and we have the relationship that we want and the car that we want and the amount of money that we want and when we're in a nice, comfortable, warm room and it's not raining on our head and, If we take all of the circumstances that need to line up for us to be very happy, how much of our lives are we actually satisfied with? And how much of our lives are we constantly going, if only, if I just had, oh. But it's not easy. It's very simple. This practice that we engage in, just simply coming together and sitting, or even taking the time in our own lives, in our home, to just sit in a stable and straight posture, to just sit. Every week, I sit in this circle with you all, and I listen to you all as we go around the circle, extol the virtues of this wonderful practice that we engage in. Every Tuesday is so wonderful, and every Wednesday has the Wednesday morning post-Tuesday glow, and I'm noticing the difference that practice is having in my life. And I say, so, do you sit other than Tuesday? Oh, no. And I wonder why. If something was so good for me, if something was so clearly beneficial in my life, why not embrace that? Why not engage in that? Why not commit to that practice, to that activity? Why not commit to awakening as a way of life rather than as a hobby? Something that you do when it's convenient or when the rest of life just isn't comfortable anymore. This is what a bodhisattva is. This is an awakening being. Sometimes the job of the abbot isn't fun because I have to give talks like this. And I can feel the squirming. And I can hear in my own self and in each of you all the reasons why. Life is very busy. Children keep us very busy, I know. Work keeps us very busy. Relationships keep us very busy. And there's lots of good stuff on television too. How can I fit in 15 whole minutes of just sitting every day, or half an hour, or an hour? It's difficult. I say that kind of in jest, but it really is. I have children. I'm married. I know it's difficult. And this is why this Mahasattva comes into play. It's fine if you don't want to practice. It's fine if you don't want to engage in this or commit to this kind of practice. But understand that you're on a hamster wheel. And as you go through life, difficulty will arise and difficulty will diminish. And difficulty will arise and difficulty will diminish. And difficulty will arise and difficulty will diminish. And if you don't wake up, every time the difficulty arises, you'll think, oh, how terrible! How could this happen to me? And every time it begins to diminish, you'll think, oh, wonderful, finally, a little bit of a break. But you're not really going anywhere. It's just going around and around and around. But there's a way off. This is awakening. But it takes practice. It takes commitment. It takes you saying, I want off of this hamster wheel. I want to know what it is to engage in my life fully. I want to know what it is to not run away from the things that scare me. I want to know what it is not to blindly chase after the things that I think are going to make me comfortable. It takes committing to your own wisdom, to your own life, to your own happiness in practice. It takes committing to being a bodhisattva, an awakening being, a being of awakening, to literally being awakening itself. This is the way that I understand the word bodhisattva. It is the activity of awakening, manifesting. I talked last week about Buddha nature, our own capacity. Each of us, each thing in this vast cosmos has to awaken. It's not something that you need to go out and get. You can't collect more of it, and you're certainly not missing it. The practice of being a bodhisattva is the activity or the vow to realize it here, now, in this life, in this moment. I can't make you. No one can make you. This is a choice. It's a choice to realize our own capacity as human beings, as bodhisattvas. Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.